Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am CS the Viking Gamer, and today on Painting Tuesday we are going to paint Jakkob Bugmansson. Today we're going to be using Lead Belcher, Retributor Armor, Balthazar Gold, Morghast Bone, and Grey Knight Steel. And for contrast paints we're going to use Gore-Grunta Fur, Snakebite Leather, Wildwood, Magos Purple, and Basilicanum Grey. And for our shade effects, we're going to use Agrax Earthshade, Nuln Oil, and Nuln Oil Gloss. We start things off with a base coat in Wraithbone, and once that's dry, I coat the entire base of the model in Basilicanum Grey. This will help give the flagstone design that I put on the base a really good pop. I also realized I probably should have painted the base first because his axe makes it hard to get to the places behind it. And while the base is drying, we can paint his axe in the same color. This will give it that kind of metallic look. Once the axe is done, we can go ahead and start on his knee pads, as well as his chest plate. Quick little touch on the insignia on his tank here. And I started painting the straps on his tank, but later decided to go back and touch them up with a different color instead of the Basilicanum Grey, just to kind of give them a different profile of color from the rest of the model. And finally, we're going to do his helmet. And a couple of little detail pieces on the side of the tank. Next up, we're going to use Wildwood. And this is going to be for all of the wooden pieces of the tank, because it is in fact a keg, and all kegs are, well, most kegs are made out of wood. And since this is fantasy, it's definitely made out of wood. And now for all of his clothing, so his pants and his sleeves, we're going to use Magos Purple. Now this goes on very, very thin, very light, so if you want a darker purple, you may have to go very heavy with the paint or do a second coat. I ended up going heavy with the paint, and that worked out okay, but next time I might do just 2 coats and call it good. Alright, now we're going to use Snakebite Leather for both of his gloves, as well as the handle for his axe. Alright, now we're going to paint the frothy foam of his ale with Morghast Bone. And now we're going to go back and just kind of redo a few of the details on his keg with Lead Belcher. This will help to sell the whole metal and iron straps on the keg. A lot nicer than the Basilicanum Gray. But that's just personal opinion, and if you like the Basilicanum, go ahead and use that instead. Paint the little ventilation grill here. And I also paint the reinforcing struts on his boots, but later decide that a contrasting color from all the gray and silver was a better idea. We're also going to paint all the hoses and some but not all of the pipes. And now we're going to use Granite Steel to paint all three of his mugs. Now this is going to go in the center section of the mug, not the top and bottom, because those are going to get painted in a different color for better detail. And this is going to be a nice change of color from the Lead Belcher, just that slight blue tint, almost like these are made out of mithril. And then we're going to paint the sight glass on the back of the keg, and the two dials on the back, as well as on his glove. And now, we're going to do some slight detailing of his mustache and helmet in Balthazar Gold, and then we're going to use it to touch up a few other areas on the model. So we're going to paint the entire side of the still that's attached to the keg here. And once we do a wash, it'll help to pick out some of the details that get coated over here. And now we're going to paint the rest of the grill section on the back of the keg. And the last couple of hoses. And then I decided that this was going to be the color for the struts, so I painted over the Lead Belcher with the Balthazar Gold. And I really like the difference in color that this brings. So now we're going to paint his beard in Gore-Grunta fur, just to give him the look of a very neatly trimmed beard. And now we're going to pick out some of the finer details in Retributor armor. Now I'm trying to be a little bit light with this color because I know it can overpower very easily. So I'm going a little bit light, and then I'm going to use washes later to help pick out some of the details. A little tip for painting some of the detail lettering like this is do almost like a very heavy dry brush, because that'll make it a lot easier to control where the paint goes, because it's really easy to paint the wrong space when you're doing lettering and get under an area or behind a raised section, and then it's a nightmare to try and fix without just repainting the whole area. And finally, we're going to paint the small shoulder pads that he has in the Retributor armor, and that's going to be it for that. So now we're going to coat the whole base in Agrak's Earthshade. This will help bring the stone texturing to life, as well as give it that kind of earthy look. Now if you want it more pronounced than this, I would recommend 2 coats once the first one dries. Now we're going to touch up his beard, as well as his gloves and the axe handle. And finally, all the wooden sections of the keg. And now we're going to use Null Oil Gloss to touch up all the bits of his actual armor, as well as the struts for his boots. This will give it that nice kind of almost shine that some armor has, almost like he's got, you know, oiled armor that is ready for fighting in adverse weather conditions. And we're also going to use it to touch up the mugs, just to give them that nice little shine effect. Then we're going to hit the sight glass, the gauges, and the still. But we're not going to touch up the axe with this. We want that to be a slightly duller color. Speaking of duller colors, we're going to use Null Oil to help bring the details of his axe to life, and then we're going to use it to paint over his clothing. And here we are with the finished piece. Alright everyone, this has been Jakkob Bugmansson of the Collector's Commemorative Series of Warhammer figurines. Thank you everyone for watching. Please subscribe and comment in the comment section and hit that like button. It really helps out the channel, and we will see you in the next one. This is CS the Viking Gamer, signing off.